Bad news, our government is now officially shut down because we don't have funding to pay the federal workers. Trump really is running the country like it's one of his businesses. He said he would. Just to give you some perspective, the government being shut down is even worse than when it's up.
Okay, let me just read this here. Donald Trump walked into an arena that holds 20,000 people and 19,999 people were so happy. And then there was Bill Burr's wife. Yeah, and I love how people are like, oh, how can you do that? It's like, well, he's racist. He likes to sort of plagiarize some Hitler stuff every once in a while. Like, what is surprising that a black woman wouldn't like him? I don't like the guy. My wife giving him the finger is what I love about my wife. Do you know where you stand with her? And you can't say that about a lot of people.
Jimmy Kimmel and Bill Burr are tag teaming the roast of the century. The target? The man who thinks humility is a contagious disease and truth is a bad investment.
We've had a hell of a couple of weeks, but I did get some exciting news this weekend. According to a new poll from YouGov, which is a serious polling site, or they were before this, I am more popular than the President of the United States.
Kimmel wastes no time painting Trump as a man who believes being loud equals being right. Watching him deliver a speech is like watching a blender try to give a TED Talk. Every sentence spins, sputters, and somehow ends in bankruptcy.
Later, that tried to viciously attack the president this week. Have you been enjoying Trump's most ridiculous distraction from the Epstein files yet? The president claims he's the victim of a triple sabotage during his visit to the United Nations building in New York on Tuesday. The teleprompter wasn't working. There were issues with the sound system, and most nefariously of all, his escalators.
Would you interview Trump?
No, and I wouldn't interview a Democrat either.
Yeah.
I don't want to know those people. My job is to make fun of them.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah. The same thing with an award show. Why the fuck would you ever host an award show? Your job as a comic is to make fun of an award show. Why would you go there?
I know.
I mean, I shouldn't say that. I mean, if that's something you want to do, because that is a big.
And some people are good at it. Some people
there we
are
go.
good
We
at
bought it back.
Yeah.
We bought it back.
They go after his obsession with crowd sizes again, the never-ending sequel to the world's most unnecessary debate. Trump could be standing in a cornfield alone, and he'd swear there were millions watching. Kimmel jokes that he measures success by how many flags he can wave per sentence, while Burr adds that the only wall Trump ever built successfully was the emotional one between him and reality. It's the kind of roast that doesn't need flames because Trump's own words keep fueling the fire.
Brunt of the effect of the shutdown, it will be felt right here in New York. To punish you for disliking him, Trump is putting $18 billion worth of New York City infrastructure projects, like the new rail tunnels under the Hudson and the Second Avenue subway project, on hold to make sure the money isn't being used to support DEI.
Then comes the economy. Trump's favorite bragging point, the shiny trophy he won by accident. Burr compares it to a Jenga tower built on tweets and wishful thinking.
That's not a sane human being. I would have been on the ground crying in the fetal position like, all right, give me the truck. I don't want this job anymore. But Trump's got all those weird, coming out. I think the guy couldn't get like a bead on him, And like right as he pulled the trigger, Trump was just like, and Sleepy Joe. And the bullet went by his head.
Kimmel jumps in to remind everyone that when things started wobbling, Trump blamed everyone but himself. The Fed, the media, the moon's gravitational pull. According to Burr, if Trump's business sense were a movie, it'd be Titanic. Only he'd be bragging about how great the iceberg was for ratings.
It says they think it was Trump's own videographer that accidentally kicked a safety mechanism, but Agatha Christie and his team of defective detectives, they do not believe it. They are on the case. This was not just a minor incident. This was a harrowing escape.
Trump and Melania were riding it up, and it just stopped.
Thankfully, the First Lady and the President had their hands on the rail as they were going up the escalator.
I've never known an escalator to be stopped. I go on escalators all the time. That's when I'm happiest, on an escalator.
I'll be honest with you. I can't believe Trump didn't win this thing like 4 months ago. I know that's weird for younger people to hear, but when I was a kid, if you were running for president and you got shot and you didn't die, that was the end of the election. There was nothing you could say. Everybody would just be like, this guy's the man. He is the king. I'll be honest with you. I think the number one reason Trump survived is all those herky-jerky.
Then they get to his constant need for loyalty. Kimmel compares it to a cult that forgot its purpose halfway through. Burr says Trump demands devotion from everyone, but gives it to no one. The cabinet, the staff, even the interns, everyone's replaceable except the man who believes he can't be replaced. It's loyalty theater, starring Trump as both the director and the only audience member left. Kimmel turns the spotlight to Trump's relationship with celebrities, calling it a love-hate story written entirely in all caps. He wants their approval, but resents their existence. Burr adds that Trump name-drops Hollywood like a teenager trying to prove he's cool. They ridicule how Trump's confidence soared while the nation panicked, how every announcement sounded like a game show reveal gone wrong. It's the moment that turned leadership into performance art. The two comedians shift gears to Trump's legal troubles, a saga that makes Law and Order look like a bedtime story. Kimmel says it's impressive how one man can treat subpoenas like spam emails.
You remember the guy who keeps saying, I have no ratings? Well, that makes two of us. They polled more than 1,000 people, and I lead Trump by 16 points. I'm at +3, he's at -13. Is nice, but it feels like, considering the fact that I'm not a convicted felon friend of Jeffrey Epstein, and I've never paid off a porn star or sent a team of masked goons into a park to pull an old lady away from her grandchildren, I feel like my rating should be higher, maybe, than...
Burr adds that Trump sold it like a superhero cape for national security, but all it did was block logic. They roast how every brick became a monument to stubbornness, a literal wall built out of political theater. They dive into Trump's contradictions, how the self-proclaimed genius surrounds himself with chaos. Kimmel says it's leadership by lottery, unpredictable, dramatic, and somehow always self-serving. Burr adds that if competence were contagious, Trump would still test negative. They turn his inconsistency into a running joke, the punchline being that predictability was his greatest weakness. Kimmel shifts to Trump's speeches again, describing them as abstract art in verbal form. Burr says they sound like fortune cookies written by a malfunctioning robot. Every topic blends into another. And by the end, even when the nation aches, Trump's instinct is to turn it into a ratings opportunity. They call it emotional minimalism. The only thing smaller than his attention span is his sense of accountability. Kimmel says Trump treats the presidency like a weekend hobby between rounds. Burr adds that the only wall he's ever built effectively is the one around his golf courses. They joke that if effort were measured in swings, Trump would be America's hardest working man. Then they tackle his endless campaign rallies, even while in office. Kimmel says Trump's been running for re-election since the day he was sworn in. Burr adds that he's less a president and more a brand ambassador for himself. They highlight how he's turned politics into personal marketing, transforming the White House into the world's most expensive billboard. Trump wanted to be immortalized in marble, but he's being immortalized in memes. Kimmel and Burr don't just roast him, they remind everyone that satire thrives where truth has to shout to be heard. The roast ends, but the laughter doesn't, because as long as Trump keeps talking, the comedy writes itself.